Hopefully, as of now. Hello, farmers. Hello, farmers. This is My name is Tembile, and welcome to Farm Up with Buenos Poultry. So, guys, let me just introduce myself. I'm a qualified practicing medical doctor. That's my profession. Um, I don't treat chickens, guys. I don't treat animals, but I treat human beings. So I'm a self-taught poultry farmer as well. I've been in this business for just it's close to 2 years now. So I'm a self-taught poultry farmer. I have never worked on a farm. I have been to a farm, just one farm, once, just to see the setup of a farm before I started. That was when I was still doing my research. So back when I was in medical school, I used to get bored reading medical textbook at some point, so I would start reading about poultry because I knew that when I qualify, um, I'm gonna start a poultry business. So I was collecting my doing my research on the business and diseases, the type of poultry diseases out there, the type of birds that one could keep, the feed, all those things, and all of that, and all of that, and all of that. So, as I was doing my research, guys, I realized that it's hard to get South African content. It's hard to get articles that speak about poultry farming in South Africa. So I struggled. As a result, I was reading articles from other countries. So now, especially Africa. So now I had to sit and collect that information and sort of like decide which information is gonna work for me and which one is not going to work for me. So um, so when I started selling my chickens, all those things, people started to be interested to ask, how did you start? You are a doctor. How did you start? How can you help us to do this? What type of structure do I need? Can you send me a picture of your structure? Send me a picture of your bed. Send me that. Send me that. Can you share this with me? No, 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 no. So I've been doing that, and I felt, why not start a YouTube channel so that I can just refer people to the channel to go and get this information. Um, Guys, as young people, we should really try to encourage each other to start farming, not necessarily poultry farming, but just farming. Remember, um, farming is not for people who are not educated. I mean, farming is for everyone. You can be a lawyer and still do farming. You can still be a doctor and still do farming. You can still be an accountant and still do farming, right? People call them side hustles, but whatever name you put to it, but farming is really a nice sort of uh, thing that you can do to make extra money and all those things. So guys, what I want to talk about in this video, I want to talk about, personally, I keep free range chickens. My family does not buy eggs anymore, guys. We eat our free range eggs. For those who don't know what free range is, we are going to talk about those things. So I have got in my farm, I've got free range chickens. I also keep broiler chickens. In the coming weeks, I'm gonna also buy Loman Brown, because I love farming, I love poultry. So guys, I will share that info as it comes. So what I want us to talk about here is the issue of a structure. We are going to talk about the breeds. What is Loman Brown? What is Highland Silver? What is Rostro 8, what is COP, all those things, we're going to talk about them. So, but in this video, I want us to talk about, the basics, a structure. What is an ideal structure for a broiler business? So, guys, if you read articles out there, they will sort of like, sorry about that, sorry, they will sort of like scare you and sort of like weaken or paralyze your dream of becoming a farmer, because when you read what what an ideal poultry coop should look like, or where it should be. If you read an American article or a South American article, you will never start broiler business in South Africa, because you will hardly find a perfect land or a perfect location for a poultry farm. I'm not saying ignore those, but as a startup, use what is available, and as you grow, then you can start. I mean, I can't afford a farm myself. We know in South Africa we've got an issue of land, and so if you wanna be strict and really make sure that you're gonna play by the book in terms of the rules that are being set out there to start a farm, you will never start. You will never start. There was a time I sort of said to myself, nah, this thing is not possible, because they would tell you about your farm should be a certain meters or kilometers away from the national road, should be a certain kilometers from another farm. Yes, I understand those things, and but what are we gonna do? Because we don't have land. What are we gonna do? What should we do? Should we have a piece of land that we can use and not use because it doesn't comply with the set standards? It's very difficult, especially if you are someone who's keeping less than 1,000 beds. Even, I mean, guys, we shouldn't really be shouldn't really be fussing about this, especially we know that we don't have land in South Africa. So let's try and use what we have, and as we grow, then we can start now. As we can afford more land and all those things, then we can start. But for now, let's use what we have, guys. I used what I have. Actually, I used a garden at home to start. I cut a section of the garden and I made that my poultry farm. Yes, I'm getting other places now, but that's how I started. So so what is an ideal building for broiler business? So guys, so guys, it's important to get the building right. It's important, because if you don't get your building right, you're gonna keep losing your beds and you won't understand why you are losing beds. So it's important to get it right. It's one of those very basic, yet very fundamental and very crucial things that you should look at. When we go through this, when you talk about the aspects of the building, you will later find out that Uguti, you have been thinking about getting that house and convert it. Now you will see why that house might not be ideal to start your. We don't want perfect conditions, guys. We don't want, otherwise you will never start anything if you are waiting to be perfect. Life is not about being perfect, it's about trying up until you get to perfection. So first of all, so when you are getting when you're talking about a building, that coop, that chicken coop should, first of all, the way in which you build your house and the orientation of your house, how it is, will determine the performance of your beds, how they perform. What is performance? Performance is, I'm gonna just put a rough definition here, but performance is about how fast your beds are growing. How fast are they growing? Are they able to take the feed that they eat and convert it into meat? Because that's what you want. You want to give them a feed, and then they must be able to convert that feed into meat. That's what you want. So that would be performance. So the nature and the orientation of the building will have a big influence on the performance of the bed. It will have basically how fast they grow or how they grow. It will also have a, an influence on disease control. It will also have an influence on ventilation. Ventilation. What is ventilation? Ventilation is roughly the movement of air in an area. How does the air move in that area? How much of it? How does it flow? Basically, it's that. So, ventilation and the management of litter. Management of litter or bedding, right? It will determine the safety of the beds as well. And when I say safety from predators, including humans are predators, right? Thieves are predators. Birds are predators. It will also have an influence on your biosecurity. Biosecurity, right? Okay, this is very similar to each other, but yes. So there are other things again. That I don't have, that I'm not thinking about right now, that I know also they've got, but these are the ones that I can think of at this point, right? So if you want to make sure that you don't have issues with these, make sure that you build your structure in a way that I'm going to be explaining right now, right? I hope you'll take these things down. You can pause the video and take these things down. I said that the way in which you build your coop for your broilers, talking about broilers, guys, here, broilers, because these other issues, you don't really get them with colored broilers, your Lomen brown, but I'm gonna explain which ones apply to other types of breeds. But I'm talking about broilers here. So the way in which you build is gonna affect the performance of your bed, and I said performance is the ability of a bed to convert the feed into meat. The reason why we give them feed is because we want meat. Disease control, ventilation, management of your litter, safety, and biosecurity. I hope you got those. So your building should be, first of all, when it comes to ventilation, where you're going to be building your structure, you must go and assess the movement of air in different kinds of weather. Not only come there when it's too hot and then you decide, oh, the air is moving from that direction to this direction. So go when there's different, so you must study your micro geography of your area, the weather in that area and all those things. So when you go there, you must decide, you must know that you must check how does air flow, because the orientation of your building will be according to that. It will have to go according to that. One thing that you must remember is that your structure must be rectangular. That's one. Your structure must be rectangular. Why rectangular? What is a rectangle? Remember, a rectangle, these sides are shorter than these sides, these two sides. That's a rectangle. You don't want a structure that is round. You don't want a structure that is square. You know, something that is square, this side is equal to this side, and this side, and this side. They are all equal, right? They are all equal. In maths, this is what we used to do. This is what we used to do. So this side must be equal to this side. This side must be equal to this side. in a square, this side is equal to this side, and then this side is equal to this side, this one to this side, this one to this side. You don't want a structure like this. You don't want a structure like this, and I'll tell you now. You want, this is a structure that it must be a rectangle. My structure, this side is 20 meters. This side is 6 meters. The issue of how long your structure should be is gonna depend on how much money you have for the building material. How many beds are you planning to keep? How many beds do you want to start with? Doesn't make sense that you're gonna have a structure of 20 by 6 when you're only gonna be keeping like 200 beds. That's gonna be a waste of your material. So it means now you must know your stocking density, which we're gonna talk about, your stocking density, right? So this is what you want. Now, the sides that are long, the long sides, which is this side and this side, they should be facing the direction that carries, that the air flows. So the air must be flowing from this direction. This is how the ventilation of your area must be. The ventilation of your area must be. So this air must be able to enter the long side, go inside and come out the other side. That's a good ventilated house. Sorry. That's a good ventilated house. You will find that the airflow, the direction of the airflow changes. If it changes, you also get the air if it moves like that still. There's no problems. There's no issues. Where I stay, this is how my structure is. So I get air that comes from this side to that side. And then I also get the movement of air that comes from this side to that side. When I start experiencing air that comes from this side or this direction, those are like your strong winds. It's not air, it's strong winds that are usually destructive. They're usually very destructive, and I'm happy for them to just be hitting the side of the coop. Not an issue. So this is very, very important. And I will tell you why. Okay, let's talk about it now. Why do you want the air to be hitting the long sides and go the other side, come out the other side? Is because first of all, good ventilation ensures that your beds, they get maximum oxygen. Maximum oxygen. Remember, broilers, they are growing constantly. They are eating and growing. So their metabolism is very high. So the rate at which they use oxygen is very, 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 very high because they are constantly growing. Unlike your Loman Brown, your colored broilers, those ones, they are growing at a very slow rate. So their bodies do not need a lot of oxygen. So that's why you can grow them in a closed house. They won't have a problem with minimal ventilation. But these ones, they need maximum ventilation. So because they are growing very fast, and they start to have shortness of breath if you don't have a good ventilation because they are growing, and then they get something called water belly disease, which we're going to talk about, and then they die from that. I've experienced this, guys, at the farm. So you want them to get the maximum oxygen. Number two, you want to make sure that you reduce the issue of flies in the farm. The issue of flies, because remember, once you're bedding, we're going to talk about the bedding. Bedding is is the material that you put on the floor for the beds to be able to feel the warmth. It's like a bed, it's bedding. So you put it, because broilers shouldn't be sleeping on a concrete floor. So that thing is called bedding. You put it on the floor. There's different types. I use wood shavings. So if this becomes very wet, you start having the issue of flies. That air is helping you to dry out that bedding. So that's why, so it's that. And also the issue of smell or odor. The poop, the chicken is called, the chicken feces is called a poop, right? So the poop or their droppings, they have a very strong smell because of the ammonia. That ammonia is like horrible. It also makes them to be sick. So you don't want it inside. You want it to move out of the coop, right? What else about the ventilation? So like I said, it helps you with litter management, right? Okay guys, let's meet on part 2 of this. I don't want to have a very long video. We're gonna continue. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe.